Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Good morning to everybody. Hope everybody's having a good morning so far. And I know that this show is a little bit earlier than most shows that I do, but have some things I need to do this afternoon. So I just thought I'll go live this morning. But thank you all for tuning in, those that are filing in to the chat. Thank you for those that are watching live, probably at work or maybe even in traffic, but appreciate this. Just want to talk a little bit about the Saints tight end position. Talk a little bit about the Saints, position of need. The tight end position is the position that a lot of people are having their eye on, especially since the fact that it's probably one of those positions with the New Orleans Saints that a lot of people aren't sure about. I mean, you look at the cornerbacks, you look at the wide receiver position, you look at the defensive line, uh, pretty much solidified. You know what I'm saying? You probably can add like linebacker to this group, probably can use a little bit more, but the tight end position is probably the one that's the most intriguing. And I don't think if you look at the guys that are in that room right now, I don't think a lot of people are really comfortable, especially like since last year we thought that a guy like Adam Trautman would step up. Now that Jared Cook was gone, now that Josh Hill was gone, we thought that Adam Trautman would take his rightful place as being that next generation of star tight end. And it has not happened yet. Some people are very upset about it. Some people feel like he's never going to get to that point. And you have some people out there that are very skeptical about if he ever is going to mature and develop into the tight end that everybody wants him to be. You got a guy like Nick Vannett, who can play the tight end position, is a good blocker, but when his number was called last year, he dropped a lot of passes, and not to mention he started the season missing several games due to injury. You can look at a guy like Juwan Johnson, who I have a lot of faith in, and I have absolutely no idea why Sean Payton didn't want to put him out there on the field. And I can't say because, he's not a really good blocker, because I think about years past when Jimmy Graham was out there. Jimmy Graham was a great pass catcher, tight end, but one thing that he lacked in was his ability to block. And we know when he got traded to the Seattle Seahawks, it affected him being on the field because, the Seattle Seahawks were a run dominant team and Jimmy Graham couldn't block that well. So he was missing on a lot of those plays where he could have been beneficial. So I don't understand why Sean Payton didn't put Juwan Johnson on the field. Every time Juwan Johnson was on the field, he performed at a high level. He caught a clutch pass. He was a good red zone threat. So I assume that a guy like Juwan Johnson is going to develop, and I think that maybe if somebody give him a little bit more confidence, I think that he would. I think that he'll excel. And then, of course, we have to mention Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill isn't going to be in a quarterback room. He is going to be focused solely on being a tight end. Taysom Hill at the tight end position gained more yards and more touchdowns at any other position that he played. So you look at a guy like Taysom Hill, you got to believe that out of all these guys, he's probably going to be the best tight end you have. But I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. I mean, we talk about Lucas Kroll, and stuff like that because, he had a good rookie mini camp, but man, those are against rookies. And I often mention it's because these guys aren't, half of those guys aren't even going to be on the team. Okay. It's just a bunch of guys that's trying to make the team. So him looking like a big fish in a very little pond doesn't really make me excited. I mean, I hope that he make the team. I like his attitude and his personality, which for some apparent reason, some people fall in love with individuals because of their personality, not so much their play. But I would like to see it against some stiff competition, some guys that are actually going to be on the team in training camp before I dub him the next star or the next unsung hero of the New Orleans Saints. But there are some guys out there, there's some guys out there that I feel like would be beneficial. There's somebody that you can bring in and, really help this room. And one person that I see out there and that has been really good over the past few years is Eric Ebron. Eric Ebron is a guy that is a free agent, which is shocking to me. I don't understand why, because when he played for the Colts a couple of years ago, he had his best number statistically. And then playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he still was pretty doggone good. And he's still out there on the street. He's 29 years old. He's been in the league for quite some time. And he's a really good tight end. And I look at the New Orleans Saints. I don't see why you won't want to kick the tires on a guy like Eric Ebron. I think that this guy will pretty much help you and solidify that tight end position right away. We know that he can block. We know that he can catch really well. We know that he can be a really good red zone threat. And, I think that him coming in is going to push a lot of those guys to the limit. It's really going to cause those guys to really go out there and perform at a high level. So I'm advocating right now that the Saints should take a look at Eric Ebron. Okay. I'm not really sold on Nick Vanette. You have to say that you can't be really sold on Adam Trautman as of right now either, because, even though we want him to do well, he has not lived up to the expectations. So I feel like that would be one of those guys that can come in and that will give you everything that you need and more. You know what I'm saying? So, but let me go ahead and take some of your comments and questions. Feel free to put them down in the chat. Somebody said Tre'Quan Smith season. Tre'Quan Smith season, I don't know exactly what we mean by that. I don't know if we mean this is the season he's going to get cut or this is the season that he really just going to step up. I don't have any confidence in Tre'Quan Smith to be, a top-tier receiver. I honestly feel like this probably going to be Tre'Quan Smith's final season with the New Orleans Saints. I do think that he's going to play good enough to be like a third string. Maybe like a third or fourth string receiver. Because he's been with the team. I got to give him a little bit of a notch over Chris Olave. I'm not talking about talent. I'm just talking about as far as understanding the offense of the Saints. So you have to say that he has an advantage with that, and very low expectations. I call him low expectation Tre'Quan because when nobody expects for him to do something, he does something. I just think that the pressures of being the guy really affected Tre'Quan Smith. But now you look at a guy like, Michael Thomas coming in, Jarvis Landry, now it's like nobody's expecting him to go out there and be 1,000-yard receiver. So I think that's where he fits in, bare minimum, a guy that can go out there and if somebody gets hurt, he can come right in. I don't think that is a foregone conclusion that he might get cut, because you have to take into account guys get hurt. It's good to have a guy on the depth chart that knows what he's doing. But, I think that he might have his best training camp based on expectations. There aren't any. So he could go out there and just do what he normally does. And everybody like, he looked pretty good because he's probably going to be going up against, second string guys. And, he might be able to perform better because he don't have any expectations. Nobody expecting Tre'Quan Smith to go out there and do anything. It's probably one of the first seasons nobody expect Tre'Quan Smith to do anything. So I think he might knock it out the park based on expectations. TJ, maybe do a write-up on Eric Ebron and the Who Dat Dish. Yeah, I thought about doing it. And to be honest with you, it might, I might write up a little something about that. I'm not going to lie to you. It was just something that's been on my mind for like the last couple of days because I was going through the free agent list and I was looking at guys that's available and I just couldn't believe that Eric Ebron was still out there on the street. And I'm like, man, wow. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody picked this dude up yet. Because, he's not the best tight end in the league, but he's definitely not the worst. And you can even say he probably like top 10. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the tight end position, like Eric Ebron name should come up. So it was a shock to me that he was actually out there on the street. So I'm definitely advocating them bring him in. What's the worst that can happen? He beat out the rest of the tight ends that you have. So might have some might be coming soon on that. Let's see. TJ, I'm one of those fans that still believe in Trautman. The issue have with him is the inconsistencies. I don't believe we need to put all our eggs in one basket, though. Cam recruiting Ebron. Oh, he is. Well, I mean, I guess me and uh, Cam Jordan on the same page, so I definitely agree with that. But look, I'm not off the Adam Troutman wagon just yet. I just think that sometimes we have these expectations for guys, and when they don't live up to those expectations right away, we just can just throw those guys away. Like, oh man, he suck, he sneaks, because they don't give us like instant results. I do feel like guys have to develop, and especially those guys that come in from those smaller schools. Now, you might have some exceptions where guys actually come in and they can produce right away, but there are some guys that they develop differently, and it's not like he went to a power conference school or something like that. He went to Dayton. You know what I'm saying? Like Dayton, Ohio. I mean, nobody really looking at Dayton. You know what I'm saying, for talent. So I do feel like sometimes guys need time to develop. Now, this is his third season, and the game should be slowing down for you, and you should be able to pick some things up, and you should be better than you were, last year, and definitely better than you were your rookie season. So the game should be getting faster. But I will say this: for those that don't believe in Trautman, people are saying, "Oh man, I'm done with him." I encourage everybody to go and check out that Philadelphia Eagles game that he played in. That's probably the best game he ever played in as a pass catcher, and that's the game where I think he tore his MCL or something like that. He messed his knee up real bad, and that caused him to miss some weeks. But you can tell like he was really out there like giving it his all. And if you watch that game, like that would give you some confidence in Adam Troutman. Like uh that game gives me a lot of confidence in him, because the week before, he probably had one of his worst games as a pro. And then the next week he came out there. I mean, he was catching everything. I mean, he was really going out there doing everything he can to try to, put points on the board. So I mean, he even I think it was like a 3rd and 18 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Man, he ended up getting a first down on that. So I mean, he was out there really performing well. So I encourage people to check out that Philadelphia Eagles game. That was the game where the Saints allowed Philadelphia to put 40 up on them. But I mean, Adam Troutman played pretty well in that game. I really have faith in Juwan Johnson. Remember, Winston loves tight ends when he was in Tampa. Yeah, look, I have a lot of faith in Juwan too. I don't understand. I don't understand Sean Payton sometimes. I don't. I don't understand like what his logic of thinking is. It just doesn't make much sense to me. Like this is the same guy would sit Juwan Johnson and have him in street clothes, but put Kevin White on the field for fly routes. Like it just seems like to me, Sean Payton ego caused him to make a lot of decisions. Now, I will say this: I'm not there. I don't know how guys are wired. I don't know how much commitment they have into like doing the little things. Of course, the coaching staff knows way more than we do. Like sometimes we're like, why isn't that guy playing? Why isn't he playing? Well, we don't see what they're doing during the week in order for them to be on the field. I will concede to that, but every time Juwan Johnson hit the field, he made plays. And I just think that sometimes Sean Payton wants to prove naysayers wrong, and he wants to prove his genius. So he gets these guys that are middle of the road, or people just kind of cast them off as losers or busts, or guys that really just can't play at all. And he tries to make believers out of the skeptics, which I don't think that's the right recipe if you're trying to win some football games. Okay, everybody knows that you're an offensive innovator, and everybody respects you as a coach. So I didn't understand it, and I definitely didn't understand like how Juwan Johnson was constantly in street clothes when every time he was on the field, he made plays. The first touchdown that was scored last year was by Juwan Johnson. Okay, I mean, so, and not to mention like when every time he played, every time he was active, he made a play. Rather it was like a contested catch, whether it was a complicated catch, whether it was a red zone touchdown, he made plays. So I just think that you have to take that into consideration versus like trying to put a bust on the field who hasn't lived up to expectations, and probably his ceiling as of right now, you have to believe, is being a special teams player, and I'm talking Kevin White. Checking out the live at work. Hope everyone has a great day. Who that? Yeah, Seth, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for checking out the live. I thank you for that. So let's see. Strolling down a little bit. Strolling down. I'm on my phone today because I don't have my webcam with me. I'm gonna scroll back up. Ant-Man says Eric Ebron's fumbles at critical times like Jared Cook, in my opinion. There is a reason why he is still on the market. Well, look, it can't be any worse than what we actually have right now. Okay. I mean, we can talk about guys like imperfections, but you have to believe like if Eric Ebron joins the team, he's better. All right. I mean, I'm not. What would you rather have? A guy that has like the tendency of making more plays than not versus guys that never make plays? I mean, what would you rather want? I would take a guy that I know can perform and do some good things versus a bunch of guys that we just hope pan out. I mean, Eric Ebron is a good tight end. Would you say that Eric Ebron is better than every tight end that the Saints have on the team? Absolutely. I would. I would say that when you say he's better than Trautman, when you say he's better than Vanette, when you say, at the tight end, as a tight end, he's better than Juwan Johnson, I would. I mean, the guy has performed at a high level, in the National Football League. So why not bring him on? Already read that one. Strolling down a little bit. Juwan had a good game against the Packers in week 1, but I will give Trautman credit. He did have a pretty good game against Philadelphia. Yeah, that was his best game. That was his best game as a professional. That was his first year starting, so that was his best game as a starter, I would have to say. The only reason I'm cutting Adam some slack is because he barely had OTAs and he was playing with 4 different quarterbacks. That's all played differently. This will be the year to make the call on him. Yeah, I agree with that. Back to the black and gold. I'm not off the wagon. Like I don't like. I understand the developmental process. Like everybody is not going to be an unstoppable force as soon as they get into the league, and everybody's not going to be what you expect for them to be. Uh, I do think you have to look at you know, OTAs, minicamp, and all that kind of stuff. And they didn't have that in his rookie season. This was the first time, what I'm saying, they really had minicamp and all the other things, for the first time since the pandemic. And also, like you said, the chemistry between quarterback and tight end, quarterback and running back, quarterback and wide receiver, that's important. So having different quarterbacks and having to understand different tendencies, that is pretty tough. But um, you have to be able to answer the call when your numbers call. So you can't just be out there and just I don't know, just looking lost. Okay, but like I said, the Philadelphia Eagles game gave me hope when it came to Adam Trautman. So I'm on the wait and see list, even though I know a lot of people are off that wagon. Sean did that to Lil'Jordan too. Yeah, Lil'Jordan is another one, and I expect Lil'Jordan Humphreys to be a key component to the New England Patriots offense. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for this guy. Some people, when they lead the Saints, they're like, "Oh man, whatever." But here's the thing, like I root for guys like this because I know they have potential. Like, yeah, that was another person. Like, I didn't understand. He would always end up on the practice squad, never on the active roster. How is it that Lil'Jordan Humphreys, I want to say that was his 3rd season, this would be his 4th. How is it that Lil'Jordan Humphreys is in street clothes and you putting Kevin White out there on the field over him? Like, what did Kevin White do besides beat Kevin White that would garner him starting over Lil'Jordan Humphreys? I mean, like I said, I just feel like Sean Payton's ego was the deciding factor with a lot of guys, and I honestly just feel like you know, he cared more about proving people wrong than he did about actually winning. Like I mean, I feel that way. Like I think they won games, and I think by him winning games with those guys, I think that he wanted to he looked at that as like, look, I'm what I'm saying, look what I'm winning with versus like trying to put the best product on the field at all time. Because you're not about to tell me that a guy that's been in a system for 3 or 4 years is not going to be better than a guy that you signed on a Wednesday and was running a fly route against Tampa Bay on a Sunday. But you ain't have Lil'Jordan Humphreys out there who constantly made plays. You can arguably say that Lil'Jordan Humphreys probably played better on some Sundays than most of the wide receivers they had. It was times where Lil'Jordan Humphreys led the wide receiver room and yards and receptions in the game. And this dude was like practice squad active, practice squad active. So I don't understand that. I just think that sometimes Sean Payton just let his ego get in the way. It's I'm just happy for Lil'Jordan Humphreys. I think that a lot of people gonna get mad watching Lil'Jordan Humphrey catch touchdowns in New England because you're gonna be like, man, this dude was doing all this, and when the wide receiver room was struggling, we could have had him on the field. That's the type of confidence I have in Lil'Jordan Humphreys. You remember me? I gave you my IG. We talked, and I told to pull up. Man, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Talking about pull up. I don't know exactly what that means, but Alfred, thank you very much for the 499. Says, I mean, what if the system not for Trautman? Yeah, we have a offensive scheme, but sometimes it's not for everybody. That's a good point, but I don't think that the Saints would actually draft a guy that's not a fit in their system. The Saints draft guys that are good fits in the system, and Sean Payton being an offensive mind, I don't think that he would draft a guy that wouldn't fit into that system. I mean, Adam Trautman does fit the system of the New Orleans Saints. I mean, he just honestly, he just went backwards. If you want to be honest, when he came into the league, he was a good pass catching tight end, and then all of a sudden he gets into the league and he's a better blocker than he is a pass catcher. It's just like he just switched spots, right? Because everybody just expected, okay, man, this dude would be a good red zone threat. A good, pass catching tight end, be able to move the chains, have a little Gronk in him, have a little George Kittle in him. But I mean, they taught him how to block it, and I guess that was like what he was just straight up focused on, right? And then all of a sudden, like he lost that ability that really got him to the NFL, which is being a pass catcher, and having size. And he's using his size to block now, but he's not using that size and that ability to catch the ball. So he kind of went backwards. But I think that I still have confidence in him. TJ, I say bring him in. If the other guys don't raise their level of play, the practice squad and free agency will welcome them, compete because it benefits everyone. That's all I'm saying. I mean, Eric Ebron is better than any tight end that you have in that room right now. Name him. I don't care who it is. I don't care who you're talking about. Eric Ebron is better than him at the tight end position. So why wouldn't you want to bring this guy in? Okay, we can talk about the imperfections, but I guarantee you, Eric Ebron's imperfections are probably he probably has less imperfections than some of these guys that you have on your team right now. So that's just how I feel about it. David says Trautman suffered from drop, so development, chemistry, and any other excuse is null and void. He's on a rookie deal, so we're stuck for at least one more year with him. He suffered from the drops, so development, chemistry, and any other excuse is null and void. Well, I don't know. I'm like I said, you can talk about making excuses all day. Like I'm just not off a guy. I've seen guys, jump to conclusions about players, all the time when it comes to Saints. Like when it comes to the Saints, I'm just gonna be real, man. Some of y'all are just too critical of guys, and y'all don't have patience. You know what I'm saying? Y'all quick to like try to throw guys away and don't give guys time to develop. And I'll give you another prime example. Like a lot of you all are hypocrites when it comes to one player, and I'm talking Mark Ingram. A lot of y'all, like when Mark Ingram first came to the Saints his first 3 or 4 years, a lot of y'all were talking about the Saints need to cut him, need to trade him. And now look at Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram is probably one of the most well-respected New Orleans Saints ever. But we didn't get this dude enough time because we're like talking about this dude need to get cut. You know what I'm saying? He ain't all he cracked up to be, this, that, and the third. A lot of you. Now, some of you probably don't want to admit that, but it's true. I mean, I've heard the whispers. I've heard people talking about that. I heard people say these things. And, you know, it's been times where people were wrong about other players. Like people, yeah, you got to be able to be patient with some of these guys and look at, you know what I'm saying, these guys' development. I don't think that you can tell a whole story about a guy 2 seasons into their career. If that's the case, then they should have cut Drew Brees years ago, because Drew Brees didn't end up being who he was until like year 5 or year 6 of his career. I just think that we're too critical when it comes to some of these players, and we want these instant results, and we want world beaters. And when we look at other tight ends like Kelsey and Kittle, we look at that as the standard. And if a guy doesn't match those standards, then we're like, man, this dude need to go sit down somewhere. I mean, Saints fans, some of y'all are too critical of guys, and y'all don't have the patience to allow these dudes to develop into what they need to be. Now, we still having these conversations like 5-6 years into a guy's career. You know, then maybe we just need to, you know what I'm saying, like cut our losses. But I mean, I don't think that, you know, this guy is as bad as people making him out to be. I just think that it's about developing into a better player. You know what I'm saying? Like develop into a, you know, like into what he needs to be. Now, like I said, I'm just willing to give some time. Like we judge guys from down to down, situation after situation. You have people out here wanting to cut Paulson Adebo after he gave up that deep pass to Cadell Patterson. And as you looked at this dude as weeks went by, he got better and better, including the next time when he played against the Falcons, probably was his best game as a corner, the last game of the season. So who knows going into the postseason what Paulson Adebo could have done, and having him alongside Marshawn Lattimore, the Saints probably would have shocked the world, probably ended up divisional NFC championship game somewhere. I mean, I just think we just need to give these guys some time and not just, you know, just be so quick to just throw these guys away. I just don't work like that, man. I just don't, and I never will. Bring Eric Ebron in. Competition is the best thing for everyone. We not giving no free passes this year. They need to go get the hell out of the way. We should bring him, and if he has a fumbling problem, let's get him with a running back coach and show him how to protect the ball. At least you know what you're going to get. Yeah, I mean, the dude is extremely productive. You know, we can talk, like I said, everybody has like shortcomings, but I mean, the last couple of years he's played at a high level, including, some multi-time Pro Bowls, and even like he was like arguably like one of the best tight ends in the football, top 3, top 4, when he was with the Colts. I mean, he actually played his way out of Indianapolis. He ended up like having one of his best seasons statistically, and then he ended up getting signed by the Steelers, for more money. So it's not like this dude is just so terrible, because if that was the case, then why would, Pittsburgh try to pay top dollar for his services? So I think we have to put that into consideration. I think we need to continue to develop Trautman. I'm sure it was trash in Ingram. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, as well as a lot of people, but they wouldn't admit that today. They wouldn't admit it. Oh man, I always knew Ingram was a beast. Nah, bro. I mean, honestly, man, some of y'all need to scrub the internet of some of y'all comments, because I remember a few games, you know what I'm saying, if you go into the archives, people were trashing Mark Ingram, you know what I'm saying, trashing, talking about how he wasn't good, and how, you know what I'm saying, like, sometimes on those 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 situations, he can never like lean forward for the first down. He can never get through the hole. It always was a stop, and people are just looking at him as a failure. But look at him now. Like I said, one of the most well-respected New Orleans Saints in history. People losing their freaking mind when he got traded back, to the New Orleans Saints. But someone can tell the true. I don't know what we talking about. Juwan Johnson is good also. I met the guy. He's big. He told me he's ready to go. Yeah, man. I think he is. I think that Juwan Johnson just deserves a chance. And I think that he could be a great weapon because he played wide receiver at Oregon. He played wide receiver. I mean, I think guys that have those wide receiver tendencies and have them gain weight to become a tight end, I think that's an advantage because you can line him up on outside as well as the inside. He can be a matchup nightmare. Donald Facts, I honestly believe if Ebron comes in, that's a wrap. He's better than what we have in the wide receiver room at this point. I assume you mean tight end room. Derek. I, I assume you mean tight end room, but I agree. I admit it. Mark didn't deserve that second contract. He did turn into a hell of a all around back, though. You can say that he didn't deserve it, but he probably didn't. He probably didn't deserve it. But he proved them right, right? So honestly, he did deserve it. I mean, because if he didn't, then if they would have signed him, then you would have seen the same thing you probably seen earlier in his career. You've seen him become better. And look, he became, better at the screen game. He became better at like running in between the tackles, better decision making. It just took time. I mean, so what would have happened if we would have had that same mind frame with Mark Ingram as we had with Adam Trautman? Who knows what it would have ended up? And honestly, it might not end up being the way that we want it to go. And I will concede to that. But I just think that we just need to be patient in some of our takes. I just think that we're so emotionally invested in the New Orleans Saints that we want like instant results right away because it's especially like we see all the talent on the field and we want that to resort to like major success like Super Bowl championships. But sometimes it takes guys time to develop, and I'm willing to accept that. Nikayla, there are better men out there to be helpful. Um, TJ, I think we are so spoiled by the 2017 draft class. Let me see, taking off as soon as they got in the league. So now we think that how it should be every time. But we just literally looked up that year and hit. Yeah, I do think that a lot of our takes are based on that 2017 class because everybody like brings that up about how all those guys got signed for the most part to big time deals, rather it's with the Saints or with another team. Marcus Williams getting a big deal in Baltimore, Trey Hendrickson getting a big deal, out there in Cincinnati. Then you even got Muhammad out there. He played pretty well with the Indianapolis Colts, and then you add on Alvin Kamara and Marshawn Lattimore. You know what I'm saying, and all these other guys that have come in. You know what I'm saying, it has made some noise. You know what I'm saying? Even Alex Anzalone. I mean, he's a captain of the Detroit Lions team. You know what I'm saying? And he got a deal. You know what I'm saying? He's well respected and looked at as one of the top guys in Detroit now. So I do think that people are spoiled by what they saw. But that's with anything. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how we judge our quarterback play. If you're not playing close to the level we've seen over 15 years or 16 years with Drew, and if you're not coaching a way that Sean Payton has coached over the last 16 years, then we feel like that's not good enough. Which we should have high expectations as Saints fans. Okay, I mean it's not like we're the Jets or even the Lions or something like that. And I think it also adds to our frustration that you watch teams like the Cincinnati Bengals who have struggled year after year, haven't even made the playoffs, and then all of a sudden they find themselves in the Super Bowl beating the Kansas City Chiefs, right? You know what I'm saying? One of the best teams in AFC in order to get there. So I just think that adds to our frustration because we felt like, well, how is it that those teams were able to get there, and they won remotely better than we were? You know what I'm saying? It took them maybe 1 or 2 years tops, right, with a quarterback like Joe Burrow to get to where they wanted to be. And we still around here struggling, trying to get out the first round of playoffs. So I can understand people's frustration, but I do think that it does cloud our judgment and makes us impatient as fans to, you know, when it comes to our takes about some of these players because we want success, which I understand. I do believe we could use an upgrade at tight end, but if we don't upgrade the position, I don't think it will make or break the team. I believe they'll have success with the tight end by committee approach. Yeah, I agree. And maybe that's the way they think. Maybe they feel like the guys that they have are going to be pretty good. But at the same time, I just think that there's nothing more lethal than having a tight end that's a weapon. You know what I'm saying? When you look at a guy like Travis Kelce or George Kittle, you know what I'm saying? Even, Ingram, you know what I'm saying? Like, guys like that, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Evan Ingram, yeah, I couldn't think of his name right off the top, but guys like that are weapons, you know what I'm saying? You can use those guys in many ways, and it can be a mismatch, on some of these linebackers as well as some of these safeties, you know what I'm saying? You got a big body tight end. Most likely they're going to win a 50-50 ball against that nickel because he probably like 6-7 inches taller than him. So it is a weapon to have. So if you have a tight end that can go out there and pass catch and make things tough for some of these defenses, it's a great weapon to have. And I think that a guy like Ebron can give you that. But that's just me. TJ, I took care of it. Please continue. They don't understand that it takes tight ends a little longer to develop. Uh, I'm trying to see exactly what happened. Jerry, I don't know what was going on. I don't know what the context of the conversation was. I don't know. But we'll see. I have to go back because I didn't know what exactly the conversation was about. They don't understand that it takes a tight end a little longer to develop. Thank Jerry. This ain't love connection. What was going on? Somebody was trying to get a date or something like that. I don't know what's going on with that. Go look at Callaway Twitter. What's going on his Twitter? Jimmy Graham spoiled us big time. Yeah, good point. Jimmy Graham did. I think he gonna be on practice squad or leave NOLA. I don't know. He on Twitter talking. What is he talking about? I don't understand. Like what is he saying? I guess I have to go back into it and see what he's talking about. LOL, leader of Detroit doesn't say much. Well, they need a leader out there, Disregard me, he lost a friend. I would rather them boys fly under the radar, keep them humble. I feel soon as the Saints get props, they get cocky, start smelling themselves. I don't know, man. It hasn't been like that. It hasn't been like that recently. You know what I'm saying? Like even in the losses, I don't even feel like they smell themselves. I just think that it's just bad like play calling and bad execution towards the end. I don't think that it has anything to do with them being cocky because they've been one of the best teams in the league. And there were times where I can watch them growing up, they can go on a 3-4 game winning streak. Then they start smelling themselves and then they just kind of fly off. But can't say a team that is going 13-3 and having double-digit wins like 5 out of the last 6 years is smelling themselves. I just think that sometimes it was just bad execution. I do think this team understands what's at hand. And honestly, here's the thing. I feel like because of all of the heartbreaking, devastating losses they've had as a squad, as a unit, it kind of keeps them humble because they know, like, no matter how good you are, a team can beat you. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't show up every Sunday, then you're not going to get to where you need to be. So they're like one of those teams that, got that on the mind. It's very rare that you have teams that experience some of the things that they experienced and they can learn from those situations. Alfred says, do you see us making one more splash signing before training camp? I think anything is possible with this modern day Saints front office. I don't know what to expect. I'm not even going to lie to you. I don't know. Usually, like if Sean Payton was there, I can kind of understand like their mind frame as an organization, but I think that they're willing to try to beef up any position and try to get better at every position that they can. And if that includes bringing some guys in to help the team better, help the team mesh and work at certain positions, I think they for it. This is what makes Trautman's injury just after he shows flashes so frustrating. Maybe we already have a tight end one situation figured out. Yeah, maybe. But I don't think that you should just be content with just promise. Sometimes it's okay to go with a sure thing. I mean, you had like Chris Olave and Michael Thomas, right? I think those two guys together as a group could have made it work, right? But adding, a guy like Jarvis Landry in here is not going to hurt, right? It's only going to make it better. So if you can bring a guy in that can make things better for a position, why not bring him in? This is not true. Callaway had a death in the family. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Sorry to hear that. A very close friend. Well, that's awful. That's awful, man. TJ Nakela was supposedly shooting her shot at Tramal. Uh, well, I mean, hey, man, whatever this platform could be used from. I was just confused. I didn't know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? I guess I caught the conversation at the tail end. But I will say this, man. And shouts out to Chosen if he's still watching this, man. He kind of encouraged me to think about starting this, and it's in the works, man. I'm going to be doing another podcast. It's going to be once a week, and it's going to be called the Therapy Couch Podcast. Because here's the thing, man. I think mental health is important, and anybody that knows me knows that in the past I dealt with depression and anxiety, and I just think that your mental health is extremely important, and health and wellness is extremely important. So I'm going to be starting a podcast. It's going to be once a week. It's going to be called the Therapy Couch Podcast, and it's not going to be sports related. It's going to be for like individuals that, might have some things that's on their mind, probably want to, talk when it comes to like relationships, just things that you go through, because life can be tough, man, especially in this climate today. It's a lot of things that we see. We shouldn't be, grown accustomed to seeing, and life, what I'm saying, can take a toll on you at times. So I am going to be doing a podcast, Therapy Couch Podcast, going to be coming soon, probably the next couple of weeks. I'm doing some work and doing, some things to behind the scenes to make that happen. So I encourage everybody, if you're interested in maybe like a different alternative, like something outside of sports, we're going to be starting that podcast really soon. So we're going to be building that up. And hopefully I see some of y'all there, man, so we can talk about, some of the things that's going on. And I'm going to be sharing like some different stories about my life and some of the things that I'm going through. A lot of people, may not know. So make sure y'all be on the lookout for that. I'm definitely going to be doing that like real soon, the next couple of weeks. It's going to be once a week. And, I'm really excited about that. Shooting shots with a rubber band. He or she was going to get shot down. Let's see, TJ, I like the way the media keeps us underrated, and I like how CD Dude's talking that ish. It's like he's using the spirit of the city. Well, I mean, he embodies what the city is all about, and I think that's the reason why he's, a fan favorite the way that he is. I think a lot of people are, excited and happy that we have somebody like that. And I'm hoping that the Saints pay him, which I really feel like they're going to. I'm pretty confident about that. TJ, man, Deontay Harden might be open on every play downfield. Yeah, man. And speaking of Deontay, man, I know if he's watching this right now, man, congratulations on the birth of his child. I mean, he had a daughter, I want to say yesterday. So congratulations to Deontay. Everybody knows, some of you probably don't even know his story, man. The guy almost thought about not playing football last year. He was thinking about going to the airport and just calling it quits after the loss of his first child. Him and his girlfriend were trying to, have a child, and he was excited about it. Unfortunately, the child didn't make it, and it affected him. So, man, now he has something, to live for even more, something to work for. And I know how much, he wanted to be a father. So congratulations to that brother. And, man, it's the best feeling in the world, man. So if you just so happen to be watching this, man, and, I mean, man, Deontay is one of, a real humble dude. So shouts out to him, man. He a real dude. Like, so shouts out to him, man. Congratulations to him on the birth of his child. We all need somebody to talk to. Yeah, that's true. And that was one of the main reasons why I thought about this podcast. because I think sometimes, like when it comes to social media, people feel as if everybody just got it together, like by watching social media. But that's so far from the truth. You know what I'm saying? Some people have problems and go through things just like, and I just think that you shouldn't be looking at social media for validation, you know what I'm saying? Or looking at what people put on social media, because a lot of that stuff, people, you know what I'm saying, are trying to get that validation because they are so empty inside. So they want people to feel like, oh, you should be like me. But deep down inside, you know what I'm saying, they struggling. They struggling to make it. They struggling to know who they are. I feel bad for a lot of people because, a lot of people build up their personality based on what they feel like will benefit them. And then you find yourself looking in the mirror like, man, this is not who I am. You got a lot of like content creators out here, a lot of people that do different videos. They just do things because they feel like, by becoming that character, it'll get them the attention they seek. Shouts out to this, and it won't, I say this, and then we'll go back into the comments. Shouts out to my mentor, Mr. Jim Siegel. He's a former radio personality, retired, and he put something on my mind the other day. And he said a lot of people, they get into broadcasting and doing all this content because, a lot of them, deal with low self esteem, and they get into these roles, and they get on social media, and they get behind the mic, or they get in front of the cameras, and they do these things because, they, for a few minutes, they feel like everybody is looking at them, and it gives them some level of validation. But you say you shouldn't feel that way. You should know who you are before those things occur. And that really put something on my mind. A lot of people just do these things, just try to get attention, and some of them lost, man. They just want to be something, and they don't really have this love for self. So I don't want anybody to feel like, oh man, I'm the only person that feels this way. Like, everybody go through problems. Everybody have situations that they deal with, and it may not be on the same level as yours, but it's still the same. I mean, they still go through situations. So everybody needs somebody to talk to. So that was one of the main reasons I, decided I want to start this podcast. And I'm gonna be real, man. I'm all in with it. So I'm gonna try to get some, psychologists on the show, get some people, what I'm saying, that's, been through some situations. I'm talking about like different type of situations, rather it be domestic abuse, verbal abuse, how to handle like different everyday situations. And also like the same format, we're gonna be, taking calls and reading comments like we normally do here. So definitely gonna be doing that, and excited about it. You know how to listen very well, TJ. Well, I wouldn't be a very good broadcaster if I didn't. I mean, that's one of the keys, man, to listen. That's one of the main reasons I like doing this podcast is to listen. It really bothers me like when content creators and broadcasters put themselves over the people that make them who they are. You know, nobody, ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. I mean, I know everybody probably heard that from the Temptation. Everybody ain't, they may be here to hear to what you have to say, but you also have to understand that people have voices too. And I don't feel like I don't feel like you should silence the people that help you to be who you are. That bothers me when people get to like a certain level and they feel like they can be a shot caller. But a couple years ago, what I'm saying, you had that gas station mentality, right? And what I mean by gas station is if you ever been to a gas station and you pumping gas, and then somebody come over there and be like, hey man, what I'm saying, I'm a music, what I'm saying, I make music, man, I'm trying to sell this CD, man, I'm for $5, right? I call that the gas station mentality, right? When guys like really just trying to do everything they can to try to get your attention, and then finally, like when you got their attention, what I'm saying, you give them their attention, all of a sudden like they let that stuff go to your head, and they feel like they can call shots, and they tend to forget about the people that made them who they are. I choose to have that gas station mentality all the time. What I'm saying? That's what I aspire to do. And when I feel like I'm getting to a certain point, what I'm saying, I kind of reel myself in because I don't want to be like that. And I don't think anybody should carry themselves like that. I think you should always remember like the little baby steps it took you to get to where you want to be, rather it's whatever you're trying to create or whatever you're trying to start. If you find yourself being successful, um, always remember like where you started. Even sports themselves can cause us grief long term. I still struggle with I don't know, is reconciling the Rams and Bucks playoff losses on a regular basis. That can't be healthy. Well, first off, Eugene, we should always find alternatives. Like we love football, and of course, like when the Saints lose, it affects us all. If you've been living in a city or have lived in a city, you know, man, the way that the city moved, the pulse of the city is determined by Saints victories, right? You know, when I was growing up, if the Saints win, crime go down, right? You know what I'm saying? Like if they lose, crime go up. You know what I'm saying? It was like they were the hope. They represented hope, and it does affect you, but it shouldn't affect you to a point where we like like just deep into depression. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a sport. You know, it's entertainment at the end of the day. You know, and honestly, it doesn't really make you or break you as a person. You know, I just think that in situations like that, you need to find something that makes you happy. You know what I'm saying? Like something that you can put all of your, I don't want to say all of your investment into, but something that's an alternative. You know, like one thing is a stress reliever is reading books, exercising, you know what I'm saying, like yoga, breathing exercises. There are things that are out here right now that can help you, uh, you know, when it comes to like mindfulness and helping you be able to collect your thoughts. So football should never like just be to a point where you just, you know, so depressed you can't get out of bed, right? I mean, I know the NFC Championship game was like horrible. And honestly, you know what I'm saying, I cut the TV off. I didn't even watch the AFC Championship game that came on after the game. But after that, you know, I just realized that the sun came out and, you know, it's going to be another year. So, TJ, social media is nothing but a massive forcade, constructed by insecurities and false validation. Yeah, that's true, man. I mean, that's what, you know, I look at social media as a good thing and a bad thing. Of course, social media, the good part about it is we're able to connect with, you know, people that we wouldn't be able to connect with in a million years. I mean, think about this, man. You can talk to your favorite NFL player, you know what I'm saying? Tell them how much you appreciate what they do on the field. They can respond back to you. It makes the world much smaller, you know, and it also opens up like avenues and doors for individuals and able to grow. I mean, the State of the Saints podcast probably wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for social media. You know, I'm able to connect with certain players and reporters in order to have them on the show. So that's a good thing. But social media should never be used as a, you know what I'm saying, like it should never be used in a way where, you know, you're comparing your life to somebody on social media because social media isn't real. You know, it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just not real. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, a lot of people use social media, you know, for ways that they feel like they want to big up themselves. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself, you know, being envious of a person that's putting their highlights up against your regular life. Well, if you look at it like, how's their regular life? Like when they, you know, didn't take that picture. Like, what are your life? How's your life behind the scenes? Right? How long did it take you to try to filter that picture to make it look absolutely perfect to let the person on the other side feel like they should be envious of you? Right? Um, Sometimes, man, sometimes you can actually see the insecurities in some of the things that people do, you know. And I know what I'm talking about because I've been there. You know what I'm saying? I've been there where I actually, you know, looked at social media at times and it affected my life. And sometimes, you know, you just have to remove yourself from that. And you should never like dictate your life based on what's going on social media. TJ, at the Crescent City Connection, your YouTube channel, it is live streaming this podcast right now. Is in my recommended list under. Yeah, it is. Yeah, the Crescent City Connection podcast is still like a part of the YouTube channel. So yeah, every time I stream here, it goes to there as well. That channel is called the Crescent City Connection Podcast. Yeah, that is. That's this podcast. Me and my older brother was starting. We're probably gonna get back into it as the season goes into it. The Saints need to sign Bo Scarborough and Sal Cannella from the USFL. Yeah, I mean, Bo Scarborough, big physical back, went to Alabama. Sal Cannella, to me, I feel like would be better as a tight end. He's a guy who's about 6'5". He's a tough guy. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't surprise me if he ended up in the National Football League pretty soon. Bo Scarborough, he been around the league a few times. I think he played for the Lions, and I want to say he maybe played for the Seahawks too. But I don't know, man. I want to see the USFL thrive. I want to see them grow because I think that is necessary. I think it's a great alternative to have spring football, having guys playing in the spring. It gives you football year round, and then not to mention the XFL is coming back. So I don't want to see it disband. So if you have guys like a Bo Scarborough that's having like a good USFL career, a guy like Sal Cannella having a good USFL career, I would like to see those guys stay there to help elevate the USFL. And hopefully, they can put themselves in a market where guys won't have to be looking at the NFL all the time, you know what I'm saying, to try to make some money. Maybe it can be like how the USFL used to be back in the 80s when you had guys like Reggie White and Jim Kelly and, you know what I'm saying, Bobby Hebert and guys like that, you know what I'm saying, it was making decent money going there, you know what I'm saying, and you can build it up because sometimes when the NFL can like pillage, you know what I'm saying, take away some of the talent from these other leagues, it kind of devalues it and makes it, you know what I'm saying, bad. So if you can have a quarterback that's decent, there's this kid out there, you know what I'm saying, a guy that I think he plays for, I want to say he plays for the Generals, if I'm not mistaken, the kick return. Like this guy, you know what I'm saying, like that. I mean, if you can have a guy that's electrifying and, you know what I'm saying, every time he touches the ball, people get excited about it. If you have that a part of your product, why not? So I just think that, it's not always about having that Napoleon complex where we gotta conquer every single thing, right? Let's let it grow. I mean, if those guys just so happen to make them their way back to the NFL, that's great. But I would prefer to have these guys in the USFL that can help it grow. And once it starts to grow and fans start to realize this is actually going to be around, they start to invest in it, and it gets better because now it's coming back for a second season, which is what we all want. So I want to see the NFL and the USFL. TJ, I saw a page on Facebook that appears to be a personal page for you. I sent a request, not realizing we don't know each other. Then the podcast and live, also understanding some things are just a persona. Yeah, Kevin, I have to check that out, man. But yeah, my Facebook page I think is connected to my State of Saints podcast page. Yeah, but yeah, man, I'll take a look at that. I'll take a look at it. I really, honestly, man, I don't even really be on Facebook like that. The last experience when somebody hacked into my personal account and they also affected my State of Saints podcast page where we grew that page up over 20,000 followers, it kind of just discouraged me to a point where I don't even really care about Facebook. The only reason I'm on it, to be honest with you, is because you need a personal page in order for you to have groups. So I wanted to start the State of the Saints podcast Facebook page again. And, so I decided to have that page. I had a page that I had back in the day when I was in college, when I lost my first Facebook account password. So, I had that page available. So I just relaunched that page in order to get the State of the Saints podcast page. But I really rarely ever be on Facebook like that. Man, the Saints give me nervous energy when I'm watching, so I found an outlet to help with them. I started out by sweeping my floors while watching the game to help with the nerves. Now I do push-ups. Well, anything to help. I mean, sometimes, the nerves and the anxiety that we feel because we want our team to do good or anything in life, whatever you choose. I mean, it can affect you. So, I mean, finding alternatives to help you cope is always key because you don't want to find yourself too emotionally invested in it to a point where it affects your everyday life. Because if that's the case, then may need to step away from it, whatever it may be. Okay, just wanted to make sure no one was stealing your content. No, nobody steal my content, man. Even if somebody even if someone uses the content, I mean, I don't care, man. I don't care. I don't do podcasts and all that kind of stuff because I don't concern myself with that stuff, man. I mean, as long as people get the content, it's fine by me. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't not these days. I really pay attention like to numbers and all that kind of stuff. There, like I don't care. Eventually you'll get to where you need to be. Rather, what I'm saying, somebody trying to use your content or not. But yeah, but long story short, yeah, that is my page. All right. I'm ready to play y'all in London. Purple Podcast. Well, yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Looking forward to that game. A lot of talent that on both the Vikings and the Saints team. TJ, if you put your validation in the hands of others, you will always have to return to them for it. That's dangerous because people will seek the acceptance from anywhere, even their enemies. Yeah, yeah, that's true. You shouldn't look for validation from people that don't really matter. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people try to do that. I mean, of course, the things that you put out there, you want validation. You want people to like it. Like Eric Badu says, I'm an artist, and I'm sensitive about my stuff. Okay, shouldn't say stuff, but we try to keep it PG here. I mean, if you're an artist and you're creating something, you want people to like it. I mean, if you're doing anything, you want people to like it. So there's a level of validation, but you have to not take things so personal to a point where, like I said, you just shut down if people are not into what you're actually doing. That's why I tell anybody that's trying to start a podcast, anybody that hit me up and say, I want to start this, I tell people to appreciate the ugly stages of what you're about to endure. Because if you feel like you're going to become an overnight success, or you feel like you started the podcast because you feel like, oh, what I'm saying, I have something to say and people going to like it, then most likely you're not going to continuously and consistently do podcasts because you care so much about what people think about you. And if you're not getting those instant results, you start second guessing yourself and you become discouraged and may not want to do it. So I tell everybody, do things because you love to do it. And this is the question that you need to answer for all those that may want to start a business or a podcast. Answer this question. If you never got paid to do it for the rest of your life, would you want to do it? If you did not get paid a dime for what you're doing for the rest of your life, would you appreciate doing it? If you can answer that question, with a positive yes, I can do this and I don't care about getting paid for it. I still do it for free. Then you got your answer. That's your passion. But if you feel like, oh, I can do this because I can make some money, 9 times out of 10, if it don't start off making you money right away, you're going to get discouraged and leave it alone. So remember that, man. There's a difference between a passion and, a position. You know what I'm saying? Like a position is just a place that you have, right? And for a temporary, for a short period of time, right? You know what I'm saying? But a passion is something that you can have for a very long time, right? So if you start to, have this passion, I say go for it. But if you just feel like, oh, it was the first thing you start thinking about, man, I can make me some money, don't do it. TJ, do you think we will make an all-black color rush? I think so, probably in the future, as the NFL start to get a little bit more lenient with the uniform combinations. I think it will. I hope so, King Arthur. An all-black alternative uniform with a black helmet would be dope. Yeah, I think that once the NFL start to open up, become more open for different ideas instead of being the old button up, old button up, stubborn organization that they are. I think the NFL like robs themselves out of a lot of money. Like for an organization, a company, you know, a league that thrives themselves on making top dollar. They sure don't move that way. I think sometimes they can get so stubborn and keen on tradition that they rob themselves out of making a lot of money. Like, imagine how much money they can make from EA Sports and 2K Sports. Imagine how much money they can make if they kind of loosened up their uniform combinations. Like, think about that, man. Like, they'll make so much money. They'll make so much money, man. But they rob themselves out of that because they so keen on tradition. Like, saying Cowboys come out there with the star on their helmet and the Steelers with the old classic, not yeah, old classic Steeler uniforms and Packers. Like, man, come on, man. Like this is a new age. And you're trying to appeal to a new audience, right? You know what I'm saying? Like the grandpa, generation, like, they're starting to like slowly die out. Some of those, these kids today don't know nothing about no Bart Starr, Johnny Unitas. Like, you know what I'm saying? You ask a 21-year-old kid who Johnny Unitas is, unless you like really into like football history, you're not gonna know who they are. So who cares? Like nobody know who Roger Staubach is, or Dandy Dime Meredith. Nobody know who these guys is. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody know who Drew Pearson is, or like Mean Joe Green. So man, loosen up. If you're trying to appeal to this modern day generation. TJ, I know you're busy. Have you checked it? I sent it. Um, what is that? I'm sorry, Tyrone. What did you actually send, man? I apologize. If you're talking about the video to my Instagram, if I think that's what you're talking about, then yes, I did see it. I did see it. If we're talking about that, um, yeah, but I did see. If we're talking about the video, TJ for tight end. Nah, man, I ain't playing no tight end. Never. I don't have interest in that. Never did. Never did, man. I was too fast to be a tight end. To be honest, I ain't trying to brag. I was too fast to be a tight end. I ain't never nobody ever was like, man, you should be a nah, man. Never. I was too fast to be a tight end. Like you talking about somebody take top over defense. Then I had them bunnies. You know what I'm saying? Because when I was going to high school, Randy Moss was hot. You know what I'm saying? So everybody wanted to moss somebody. So catching the ball over somebody's head, you know what I'm saying, like was the key. But nah, I never wanted to be a tight end. I live in Arizona. The Saints are coming in October to play the Cards. I kind of want to be petty and go to the game draped in Saints gear. Well, if you do, I'm pretty sure you're not going to be the only one. Um, they got Saints fans on the West Coast. And a lot of them tune into this podcast, so I know that for a fact. So I mean, you wouldn't be the only one, and I don't feel like it's petty if you're a Saint fan. You know what I'm saying? Rep your team. Like if you want to see your team, you want to go to the game. Ain't nothing wrong with that. No matter where you live. TJ, if we completely healthy and the defense takes another step forward, along with Olave being what we believe he is, what do you believe the ceiling is for the Saints? Well, I feel like there would be endless possibilities for him, if everything pans out the way that we want it to pan out. Um, I'm confident that they will, you know, be everything that we want them to be, but man, they got to put it together. I don't think that anybody's concerned about the talent that the Saints have. We feel like this team can compete with anybody. And that's not the problem. Problem is the battle of attrition and the consistency, and how are these coaches going to be able to call these games, especially when the games are nip tuck, and also in being able to execute effectively and having these players buy in. I mean, when you have a different voice in the locker room, it is a difference. And sometimes, like, situational football is going to be different because it's not the same coach. So it looks good on paper. It looked like it's going to work out, but we got to see it happen. I'm not one of those guys that like, oh man, they got him, they got him, they got him. Oh, we gonna win it all. You got to execute, man. I mean, you got to execute because it's not always just about the talent. If that's the case, I mean, look at the NBA, right? You know what I'm saying? Look at the NBA. Like the last couple of years, you have guys that are homegrown guys that have been winning championships with their team. Milwaukee last year with Giannis and Chris Middleton. This year you had Clay, Draymond, and Steph, guys that been there. Sometimes it takes years to develop some level of chemistry in order for those guys to be where they need to be. Chemistry is important. It's not always about just loading your team up with a bunch of talent, because when you find yourself loading up teams with a bunch of talent and you got a bunch of guys in the locker room that's making X amount of money and they feel like, oh, I chose to come here as a free agent, right? You know what I'm saying? Because when you're a free agent, you choose that team, rather it's for money, rather it be because you feel like they're going to win, but you still call the shots. So you need guys to keep their ego in check in order for you to get to where you need to be. And not to mention, you can't have a repeat of what happened last year. So a lot of things have to come together. So that's why I say I'm just not one of those guys that just like, oh man, they got this guy, and this guy, we're gonna win. I can't, and I can't be like that. TJ, I was looking around the NFL and no teams put fear in my heart at all. To be honest, I think we have the talent to beat any team in the league. Well, I mean, that's been the last couple of years though, too, King Arthur. So um, I always think the Saints have what it takes to beat any team. But once again, it's about executing and the new coaches being able to put these guys in position to succeed, and guys putting their ego to the side. Do you think Sean Payton will coach the Cowgirls or Dolphins next season? Or do you see him going back to NOLA? I don't see him going back to NOLA. I don't see Sean Payton coming back to the New Orleans Saints. Um, neither should you want Sean Payton to come back to the New Orleans Saints, because here's the thing. If we're talking about Sean Payton coming back to the New Orleans Saints, then that means that the Dennis Allen coaching well, Dennis Allen Saints coaching career has been a failure, right? So I want Dennis Allen to be a good coach so much so that we, as time goes on, he develops and, becomes like his own person. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though Dennis Allen is his own person, but a lot of people are looking at him as being a Sean Payton disciple, right? It's almost like when Sean Payton first came to the Saints in '06, right? He was a Bill Parcells disciple, right? And then as Sean Payton just started to develop his own legacy, people stopped, comparing him and putting him on the same level as Bill Parcells, or even mentioning him and Bill Parcells in the same sentence. Rather, it's just like, okay, to try to big up Bill Parcells, but he became his own person. So if Sean Payton is still being talked about as the head coach for the New Orleans Saints coming back, that just means that uh, the Dennis Allen coaching experience has been a disaster. So, but to answer your question about do I feel like is he going to coach the Cowgirls or the Dolphins? Once again, if he coaches the Dolphins, that means the Mike McDaniel coaching experience has been a disaster, right? You would think that even though Mike McDaniel, the situation with him kind of is something similar to what Frank Reich was in Indianapolis. Frank Reich would just, coach, they were like, let's just pick Frank, you know what I'm saying? Because Josh McDaniel decided to renege on the offer, right? But it ended up working out for the Indianapolis coach because Frank Reich turned out to be a pretty good coach. So hopefully you have that situation. The Dolphins hope they have that situation in Miami with Mike McDaniel. So as far as the Cowboys, I don't know. I wouldn't want to see that. I would prefer if Sean Payton does come back, he comes back and coaches a team in the AFC where you wouldn't see him every single year, because if he plays if he coaches the Cowboys, they're going to put the Saints versus the Cowboys almost every year, kind of similar to how they put Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning every year. They're going to want to. They're going to do that. They're going to do that every single year. So I don't want to see that. I would prefer for him to go to the AFC where you're playing him every 4 years versus every other year. Or the way that they try to line up the schedules every year. In your opinion, what kind of season does Winston have to get a longer contract with the Saints. Got to have a season where he has, of course, more touchdowns than interceptions, and just consistent. You just got to be consistent, man. Um, I don't think he has to throw for 40 or 50 touchdowns or nothing like that. I just think that he has to be consistent and make good decisions with the football more times than not. I think if he does that, run the offense effectively, he'll get himself another contract. I think his contract this time has more to do with him being injured and his season with the Saints being incomplete versus him not being good enough to be the Saints quarterback, to be honest with you. TJ AK suspension could be a blessing in disguise. It will allow Abrams to develop, and AK will be fresh for the postseason run. Yeah, I mean, I like the optimism, but I'd rather Alvin Kamara be able to play a whole season. I guess we can. That's looking at the glass half full and half empty. But I would rather have him on the field. But yes, that would be an advantage, if the NFL decides to just go ahead and just lower the boom and not wait until the Saints are actually reaching a stride or something like that and then suspend them. I wouldn't want that. Run me my early round draft pick for Sean. Let's get it, DA. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are waiting and hoping that he does come back into the league because the Saints will be able to get some draft capital. And that if Sean Payton does come back into the league, more than likely it's going to be a team that struggles and a team that's probably picking in the top 10. So if you were to get Sean Payton, more than likely the Saints will get a heck of a draft pick because of it. TJ, I want players and staff who actually want to be here. Much respect to Sean, but I'm good on a reunion. Let's see what Dennis Allen has got for us. He started on a good foot with the signing. Well, I think that had more to do with Mickey than Dennis, to be honest. Look, I like Dennis Allen, but I don't think Dennis Allen has any skins on the wall. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be as a coach, as a defensive coordinator, absolutely. He's well respected in the league. So I don't think he has enough cachet to really move Mickey the way that Sean could. I just think that Sean developed trust from Mickey Loomis that Sean can be like, oh, let's bring this guy in. I don't know if Dennis has that. Dennis probably has some say so, but not the type of say so that Sean has. I think Mickey is actually trying to run the team the way he feels. Because here's the thing. I don't think none of these guys would be on the team if Sean Payton was here. And I think it had a lot to do with the confidence that Mickey has in Sean. Like he can basically win. He doesn't have to have this top-notch, can't-miss top free agent that's going to be asking for about $15, $20 million, right? We don't need him. We can bring somebody in and we can develop him and we can have him be a cog in the wheel. But based on Dennis Allen's past as a head coach, are you confident, that he'll be able to win games, with the wide receiver group that he had, with the secondary group he had? No. Well, maybe with the secondary because he was the defensive coordinator, but not the overall operations offensively and defensively, So bringing some guys in that for sure are going to make some noise, that are going to rattle some cages, is probably best when you have yourself a first-year coach that you're not too sure about, can he win with the guys that we have. So I think it had more to do with Loomis than it had to do with Dennis Allen. Tyrone, thank you very much for the $20. Says, I can't wait until the season. 11-6 is what I see. Also, I'm trying a couple of minutes for Pelicans halftime show. Man, that sound pretty good. Like I said, if you're passionate about it, you like it, want to talk Pelicans basketball, I mean, do it, man. I mean, I think look, I encourage everybody, man, life is too short, I mean, life is too short, for us to be sitting on our hands and not trying to achieve these dreams. And there's always going to be reasons why we can't, right? There's always going to be something, a roadblock in the way. But I just say everybody follow their dreams and don't leave no stone left unturned. Like when you close your eyes and you leave this world, you want to leave a mark in this world. And I'm not just talking about, from a creative standpoint. Rather, you being a mother or a father, a husband, a wife, you know what I'm saying? Like a human being, a giver. Like you want people to remember you uh in a positive way, you know? And so don't leave no stone left unturned. Leave work very hard to leave a lasting legacy that people are gonna remember you by that's positive. TJ, do you think we end up with a situation where AK doesn't get suspended at all, like how Lattimore didn't get suspended? Oh man, I don't know. That's a tough one right there. Yeah, I think it depends on the verdict. The best thing, the best thing about all this, and I hate to say it like this, and I'm not trying. I have a lot of respect for individuals that deal with this, but I think the Deshaun Watson situation kind of clouding the situation with Alvin Kamara because I feel like if Deshaun Watson wasn't going through the situation he was going through, I think that more people would be focused on Alvin Kamara situation. Alvin Kamara is a big enough star. He's probably in the same on the same level of stardom when it comes to the NFL as Deshaun Watson. So I just feel like the Deshaun Watson situation is kind of making the Alvin Kamara situation kind of fly under the radar. So that's one of the main reasons why I feel like Alvin Kamara might be able to slip through the cracks because there's so much pressure on the NFL doing something about the Deshaun Watson situation that people are tending to forget what happened. And then not to mention, um, I mean, it happened. TJ, do you think we end up with this, or I already read that? TJ, I need Pete Carmichael to have most of the play calling duties. Well, he is. I mean, he's the offensive coordinator, so he don't have to worry about Sean Payton calling the plays. He's going to be the guy. Post NBA finals and pre training camp is the most boring stretch of any sports calendar year. The dog days. But we only 3 weeks from Rook reporting, fam. We gonna make it. Yeah, I mean, look, it's always boring around this time, but things are going to pick up and it's going to be crazy, man. So I think a lot of reporters are kind of relaxing. I seen Nick Underhill, him and his wife, shouts out to them. Seeing like, they out the country having a good time. I want to say I seen some of the Saints players, they leaving the country. Like, man, people are just trying to relax and trying to get their mindset for, countless reporting and countless podcasts and all that kind of stuff. So, for things like that, it's probably good for us because we know for the next 5, 6, hopefully 7 months, that that we're gonna be talking about this team. We won 9 games with all the adversity in the world last year. I really think if we have a relatively normal season for the NFL team, we can win 13 games. Yeah, I do too. I think we can. I think the Saints have I think the Saints have what it takes to win those games. But I'm excited to do that. That schedule show is going to be coming up. In a few weeks. You know, it come up in a few weeks. So I'm excited about that. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Shouts out to everybody that was here. I know we went a little earlier than I normally do. I seen somebody leave a comment that said like, "What time did this show start?" It don't have a starting time, right? Because here's the thing, man. I This is the reason why I'm spontaneous. Um, I feel like when you put a schedule, and look, everybody has their own little thing, and I'm not trying to knock anybody, but I just feel like when you create a schedule, sometimes like how should I put this? When you create a schedule and like you have to have yourself up for a show, you have to think about topics, you got to think about all these different things. I rather like kind of just do it from an emotional standpoint, you know what I'm saying, when I'm inspired to do it. because I feel like that's the best content. Because I don't want to force anything. So that's one of the main reasons. Like if you catch the show live, great. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can't, that's fine too. I just hope that you enjoy the experience. Um, I tried to do the okay, I'm gonna set this schedule thing, but it just didn't work for me between um everything I gotta do, behind the scenes, doing stuff for my son, my wife. I try to, just try to do it when I can, and so unless it's like halftime show, pre and post show before games, that's probably the most guaranteed thing that I can give you. But to say, okay, the State of the Saints podcast is gonna come on 9 o'clock every night, and then not to mention, you know what I'm saying, like there's a lot of people that solidified themselves as being, doing shows at night. You know what I'm saying? Like Hoodie Jew, you know what I'm saying? I think Big Q does his show at night. I don't, a lot of people that watch those shows tune into this show. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I just try to say what I got to say, get out of the way. You know what I'm saying? So I try to be respectful for that. Unless like something like happens or this would be the only time I can actually do it, then I probably would do something at night. But I try to do it around, times where I feel inspired. So, I just want to make that clear. I'll be reporters and podcasters deserve all the rest of the next 3 weeks, and I mean the ones who are on top of their game. Y'all doing the Lord's work. I appreciate that, Eugene. A lot of people work hard, you know, to create content and also bring you information, whether it's through writing, whether it's through broadcasting. They do a really good job and they work really hard. Don't worry, Barbara. Barbara says, I hate missing the live shows. Yeah, I know, man. Look, I understand that. And like I said, I do apologize, but I just don't want to do a set schedule because I feel like some of the shows I do, I'll just be doing them just to be doing them, and I don't want to, I just don't want to do that, man. Everything I do, when it comes to this podcast, I do it with passion, right? People ask me all the time, they say, man, you should do this or do that. If I don't really do the due diligence, I'm not going to give it to you. You know what I'm saying? It's like shouts out to everybody who ordered the new State of Saints podcast t-shirt. Shouts out to y'all. It took a while for me to actually get to that point because, I mean, I just didn't want to just be giving out anything. Like some people like just, man, I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna make that. I try to put a lot of work into what I'm doing. And when I get in front of this camera, I try to make sure I give you all the best show I possibly can. If I can't, then I don't care what's going on. I know sometimes like something might be breaking and people are like, man, where you at? I'm like, if I'm in the middle of like doing something like watching TV with my wife or doing something with my son or heck, you know what I'm saying, might be exhausted. I'm gonna make sure when I get behind the microphone and get in front of the camera, I'm gonna give you everything I have. TJ, what's the likelihood you implement a top 5 best worst segment? It could be a top 5 Saints past, current, and present moments. That's the Who That Nation can recall. I always wanted to do a top 5 show because I think that I can bring like an entertaining aspect to it. But yeah, that would be something that that wouldn't be hard to do. I mean, I started like a YouTube channel called the State of the Saints Podcast Clip, so maybe I can use that. I mean, that was an idea that somebody gave to me that I was like, in the end, like something I didn't feel like was a good idea, but maybe I can just use that page, to do that. It would, something like a 10-minute segment because, top fives, like people like those things. I mean, I know I watch them, especially like with the wrestling content, that I see on YouTube. A lot of people do top 10. So I always wanted to do that. That'd be, but I want to make sure that I can consistently do it. It's all about consistency, You don't want to start something you can't finish. When they tell TJ he should be confined to a rigid schedule, he hits that Bishop Bowink on. Yeah, look, I just can't work like that, and I don't think I can. Like, okay, from a broadcasting standpoint, I have to. So if I was, which I don't feel like my broadcasting career is done, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that I want to do. Especially I want to do sports talk broadcast, but I want to do it, in the right situation. So, and you already know my dream for some of y'all. I always had a dream of working for WWL. Uh, that would be like my dream job to have. If I can ever like get on with them or work for the New Orleans Saints or something like that as a reporter, like that would be the best thing in the world to me. But um, yeah, but as far as like the podcast is concerned, I just want to make sure it's the one thing that I can control, right? I got to bring the energy at 12 noon every single day, Monday through Friday here at the station when I'm on the air. But with the podcast, I can control when I do it and what I can bring to the table, you know, and I can give it my all. Been missing lives lately from the work, but always I catch the replay. Appreciate that, Damien. I'm gonna read the last few. Best moment: Tracy Porter pick six in the Super Bowl. Yeah, that goes without question. Anything that wins you the big game, you have to put that as number one. TJ, do you see Chris Richard taking over defensive plays, calling all together? I hope so. I hope so. Look. I don't feel like it's a coincidence that the Saints played their best defensive football. He was somewhere in the building. Stu has been overlooked and for years, and hopefully this stop will get him a head coaching job, a head coaching job he deserves. Because the Saints are lucky to have a guy like that. I know that secondary is. No disrespect to Aaron Glenn, but they are light years ahead with Chris Richard versus they were with Aaron Glenn. I mean, I haven't heard people saying, they need to turn their heads around for 2 years, and I love it. What's happening, TJ? Been a minute. Will you go back to doing some of the wrestling podcasts again? Oh man, probably not. Uh, not the fact that I don't watch wrestling anymore. Anybody that knows me know I do, and if you follow me on Twitter, you definitely know I do. But I don't know, man. I don't consistently watch wrestling the way I did, once upon a time. Like I know what's going on, of course. Shouts out to my guy Claudio, aka Cesaro, coming to AEW. But I don't know, man. So many different things that I'm doing. I don't know if I can fit a wrestling podcast in the middle of it. Now, technically, I probably can if I go back to like throwback State of the Saints podcast style, where I just talk like 10 minutes and did a slideshow. But I don't know, man. Probably not. Probably won't. I ran around the yard and lost all recognition of where I was after the Porty interception, like blacking out. Yeah, look, I just man, that was like one of the best feelings in the world, man. That was one of the best feelings in the world to watch that the Saints win the Super Bowl. Something you never thought it was going to happen. TJ, what do you think is absolutely critical for us to do in order to be successful in the postseason? Uh, win. I don't know. like be consistent. Like execute. Be able to administer the kill shot. Maybe. Uh, not let these teams that you better than stay in the game. Which I don't feel like it's going to be that way because I feel like the Saints have the ability to administer the kill shot, and they'll be able to put up offensive plays that I don't feel like the opponent will be able to come back from if Jameis plays the way that we all believe that he will. I jumped so high, my head almost hit the ceiling. Yeah, man, I think we all was like going crazy when the Saints won that Super Bowl, man. But once again, thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Shouts out to everybody in the chat. Shouts out to everybody that commented. Thank you very much for your comments. Those that donated, thank you so much. Also, State of the Saints podcast T-shirt is available right now. If you go to Facebook.com and search State of the Saints podcast, those that are watching on YouTube, if you go to the channel's main page and hit the Facebook link, you'll be able to go directly to the Facebook page and follow there, and you can hit the link where you can actually purchase a T-shirt. People have been purchasing a T-shirt, which is very shocking to me, the response that I got from it. So I'm always excited about that. So shouts out to you all, man. It's a really good T-shirt, man. I think it's probably one of the best designs that I've had. Shouts out to Mike Mike Wills, is from Grind Market. He's been doing my designs and logos for over a decade. And I never met the guy, which is crazy, right? He's been doing my logos for over a decade. I never met him in person. And crazy thing is he actually stays in South Carolina. So shouts out to him. He does an outstanding job with the work. But the shirt is available right now. Previous episodes available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. And also make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. And hit the like button on your way out. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?